Henry Cejudo won't quit talking about Volkanovski. The first time Henry did it, it seemed like maybe a little bit too much to bite off, right? Too big of a bite to chew. But he's serious about it. I mean, you can tell he's serious. Henry goes in a lot of directions, and a lot of times he's having fun. This is one constant where he's been on Volkanovski. It's also very topical because Volkanovski's getting ready to fight, and now Volkanovski's getting asked about it, and Volkanovski is refusing it. He said, no, you fight the top contenders, and he's not even in the division. If you're telling me he's got good enough resume to come in and do it, I'll let him cut the line, but it's not what I believe in. You're going to have to pay for the fight. Okay, fine. But before you think that that just killed the fight, these things have a very funny way of percolating and maturing over time. When I talk about these things, what I'm referring to is when somebody, one of the two parties in a contest, refuses the contest. Those fights, more often than not, turn out in fruition. It just works that way. Anderson Silva had a very interesting formula, and he may not have even known he did it, in all fairness. I probably studied Anderson more than Anderson studied himself. And I mean, I was almost like a stalker to Anderson Silva at a point in my career, but Anderson Silva had a formula for every single fight. It is how he promoted fights. It is how he sold fights. It was the same recipe every time, rinse and repeat, whether he even recognized it or not. And he didn't love to do media. He didn't love to do it to the point that he would even pretend he didn't speak English to not have to do it. I mean, he really did not want to go out and do the cameras. He was just a real fight. He wanted to go in the gym and work hard and practice and show up on fight day on weight, ready to go. And that's who he was. But he still drew. He still had a formula in place. And just to break down his formula for you, every fight started, no matter who the new number one contender was, with a refusal. No matter who that guy was, Anderson would refuse to fight him. And that would run wild in the media, and the media would speculate, and the fans alike, oh, Anderson's refusing to fight the guy because this is the one guy who can bring him down. So we'd start with a refusal. Once that attention died off after about 2 weeks, he would then accept the fight. Didn't matter who it was, didn't even matter the weight class. Anderson fight anybody, in all fairness, but he'd start by saying he won it. Once that died down, okay, then he would accept the fight. And that would run wild. That would get some media attention for a couple of weeks. People were excited. Anderson's coming back, and he's going to fight. But then, like anything, that would die off. Then all of a sudden, every single fight, there would be an injury rumor. Somebody within Anderson's camp would release a rumor that he was hurt and the fight was now in jeopardy. Anderson would never fix that rumor. He would never speak on it. He wouldn't validate it. He wouldn't deny it. He would let the media run with it until it died off. And once it did, and again, that was about a period of a week or so, he would then clear the air and let you know that was a false rumor and everything was on track, of which would then re-stimulate all of the Anderson fans and the people out there that wanted to see this contest. But these were his steps. He would always start by refusing for whatever reason. But he would say no to the opponent. Now, I only bring that to your attention because Volkanovski refusing Henry, much like Anderson, I do not take as an attempt to garner attention. I take it as Volkanovski being very sincere, very direct, and very candid and telling you, no, that's a crazy idea. That's a 25-pounder. That's a 35-pounder. By the way, that's a guy that retired. I mean, he's going to come back and all of a sudden fight me in a division he's never been. Hard argument to make. I mean, it just is. People tried to do that to St. Pierre when he returned at 185 and go, well, he shouldn't be able to cut the line. It's just a hard one to make. When the guy is done what St. Pierre did, you can try that and you can scream it from the rooftops, but it's not going to get any echo. And you're going to have the same problem with Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, much like Conor McGregor, look, he wants to change weight. It's hard to tell him no. The only consistent that he's done is win. Gold. 3 different weight classes, 2 different sports. It's just a reality. It's going to be a very hard thing to deny. I will only offer that for you because when you do try to guess where the chips are going to fall for Cejudo, I'm with you. I think we see Cejudo again. But of all of the directions that Cejudo has shot fire, one thing that has been consistent is Volkanovski. And for Volkanovski to say, "Look, you're not in the division, I'm not even thinking about you," and for him to blow him off, I respect it. I've got no problem with it. If those two do match up, Volkanovski is just too big. Eventually, you run into somebody where size does matter. You're at a tipping point. Those two can figure out if 145 is that tipping point. But I will remind you, more than anything, I only speak to you just to remind you that more times than not, when you have one of the principal participants in a fight refuse the fight, much like the playground, that fight ends up happening.